Welcome to True Crime Stories. Today we dive into a heartbreaking story involving betrayal, illness, and shocking death. This is the story of Jared Mitchell, a man whose life and death revealed the grim consequences of infidelity. Jared Mitchell, a 52-year-old executive from Greensboro, North Carolina, is known for his charm and success in the corporate world. He climbed the corporate ladder, enjoying the luxuries that came with his high-paying job. Often appearing in neat suits and driving a luxury car, Jared is sociable and enjoys attending high-end events. However, those close to him are aware of his dark tendencies. He is narcissistic and has a history of cheating on his wife, Amanda. Amanda Mitchell, 50, was a former high school chemistry teacher who was loved for her kindness and dedication to her students. With a passion for science, she thrives on sharing knowledge with young minds and is respected by both colleagues and students. Married for more than 20 years, Amanda and Jared have overcome many challenges together. Known for her resilience, Amanda always faces difficult times with a smile. In September 2018, Amanda's life took a harrowing turn when she received the devastating diagnosis of terminal esophageal cancer. Faced with a prognosis that offered little hope, Amanda resolved to cherish every moment she had left, clinging to the support of her friends and family as her health rapidly declined. Just days after receiving this crushing news, Amanda's world was further shattered when her husband Jared asked for a divorce. Jared, who had been secretly entangled in a relationship with Jenna Parker Breen, a young aspiring influencer with a penchant for flaunting a luxurious lifestyle, chose to abandon Amanda at her most fragile hour. This betrayal left Amanda grappling with a profound sense of abandonment and heartbreak as she faced her illness alone. Amidst the turmoil of her deteriorating health and the emotional wreckage of her marriage, Amanda found solace in the unwavering support of her close friend and colleague, Brian Hart. Brian, ever compassionate and dedicated, took on the role of Amanda's caretaker, assisting with daily tasks and offering the emotional comfort she desperately needed. As Jared and Jenna reveled in their newfound life of opulence, dining at exclusive restaurants and indulging in high-end shopping, they appeared to be living a carefree, exciting existence. However, beneath the veneer of their seemingly perfect world, a storm was brewing. The serenity of their lifestyle was about to be violently disrupted. On a fateful night in early September 2018, the storm finally hit with devastating consequences. Jared's lifeless body was discovered in his Greensboro home, marking a grim end to his story. The details surrounding his death remain shrouded in mystery, casting a dark shadow over the lives of those who had been caught in the web of his choices and betrayals. Around 10:30 p.m., Brian Hart, a close friend and colleague of Amanda Mitchell, found himself standing outside Jared's door. Amanda, deeply troubled by Jared's recent behavior and his abrupt departure from their lives, had asked Brian to check on him. Always supportive during Amanda's hardest moments, Brian agreed to this uneasy task. As Brian approached Jared's home, he knocked firmly on the door, but there was no answer. Growing increasingly concerned, Brian used the spare key that Amanda had entrusted to him for such emergencies. As he stepped inside, the house greeted him with an unsettling silence. Everything appeared in its usual order. yet a sense of unease began to settle in. Brian called out for Jared, but there was no response. The tranquility of the house felt strangely out of place. As Brian moved toward the living room, his heart began to race. There, in Jared's favorite armchair, Jared was slumped over with a glass of whiskey resting on the side table. At first glance, it seemed as if Jared might have simply fallen asleep in his chair. However, as Brian drew closer, the disturbing reality began to sink in. Jared's complexion was alarmingly pale, and his body was unnaturally still. Brian's pulse quickened as he checked for a heartbeat, his fingers trembling with dread. The absence of a pulse confirmed his worst fears. Panic surged through Brian as he scrambled to dial 911, his hands shaking uncontrollably. In that moment of shock and disbelief, Brian grappled with the harsh reality. Despite his deep disapproval of Jared's treatment of Amanda, he had never anticipated such a grim outcome. The night, once filled with the promise of answers, had turned into a harrowing scene of tragedy and unanswered questions. When first responders arrived at the scene, they confirmed Jared Mitchell's death and promptly notified the police. As news of the tragedy spread, neighbors gathered outside Jared's home, murmuring in hushed tones about the unfolding drama. The story quickly made headlines, with local media outlets, including WFMY News 2, broadcasting the shocking news to the wider community. Detective Lisa Harper, renowned for her keen instincts and vast experience in criminal investigations, led the team that arrived at Jared Mitchell's residence on that fateful September night in 2018. Upon entering the home, the detective was greeted by an eerily quiet and orderly scene. The living room was immaculate, with no visible signs of a struggle. Jared's body lay slumped in his favorite armchair, a glass of whiskey perched beside him. The tranquility of the setting was deceptive, and Detective Harper knew that appearances could often be deceiving. Without delay, Detective Harper directed her team to meticulously collect evidence and document the scene through photographs. The initial forensic analysis was critical in unraveling the mystery of Jared's sudden demise. As the investigation unfolded, toxicology results on the whiskey revealed a chilling discovery: Jared had been poisoned with rat poison. What initially seemed like a sudden, unexplained death was now confirmed as a deliberate act of murder. Detective Harper and her team shifted their focus to scrutinize every minute detail. They meticulously examined the whiskey bottle for fingerprints and gathered samples for further analysis. The method of poisoning indicated that the perpetrator had a precise knowledge of Jared's habits, particularly his penchant for alcohol. This insight suggested that the killer had carefully planned the crime, taking advantage of Jared's routine to execute their sinister plan. As the investigation into Jared Mitchell's death progressed, Detective Lisa Harper and her team worked tirelessly to piece together the circumstances surrounding his demise. They conducted thorough interviews with neighbors and individuals who had seen Jared in the days leading up to his death. Several witnesses recalled seeing him frequenting popular local spots such as Green Valley Grill and Friendly Center. A number of these sightings also included Jared in the company of his new girlfriend, Jenna Parker Breen, a vibrant and social media savvy young woman known for her penchant for a glamorous lifestyle. With the scene meticulously processed and forensic analysis underway, Detective Harper focused on identifying potential suspects. The investigation aimed to uncover anyone with both the means and motive to have poisoned Jared. It was clear that the perpetrator had a deep understanding of Jared's routine, specifically targeting his habit of consuming whiskey. Amidst the growing list of suspects, the investigation turned its spotlight onto Amanda Mitchell. At 50 years old, Amanda was battling end-stage esophageal cancer, a fight that had already stripped her of her previous life. Once a beloved teacher, she had to leave the home she shared with Jared and had relocated to a modest residence in Greensboro. Despite her suffering, Amanda had shown remarkable resilience, maintaining her dignity and strength in the face of her illness. The shift from a heartbroken wife to a primary suspect was a dramatic turn in the investigation. The detectives now grappled with the possibility that Amanda might be involved in Jared's death. This development raised complex questions about her potential motives and involvement. As the community watched with bated breath, Detective Harper and her team remained resolute in their quest to untangle the web of relationships and motives. Their goal was to bring justice to Jared Mitchell and clarity to a case that had captivated public attention and stirred deep emotional currents within the community. Amanda Mitchell was devastated when her husband Jared filed for divorce just days after she received her terminal cancer diagnosis. After more than 20 years of marriage, Jared's betrayal, when he left her for a younger woman, Jenna, left Amanda devastated. Even so, she still tried to make the most of the remaining time. When questioned, Amanda was calm and cooperative, despite her hoarse voice due to illness. She said she was at home resting the night Jared died and expressed deep sadness at his passing. Although clearly motivated by anger and heartbreak, her illness made police suspicious of her ability to commit the crime. However, Amanda's chemistry background may help her know how to use poison effectively. Detective Harper and team investigated Amanda's life in depth, interviewing friends, neighbors, and co-workers. Many described her as loving and devoted and found it difficult to believe that she could have committed a crime, even in her emotionally disturbed state. Medical records confirmed her terminal diagnosis, supporting claims that she was too weak to kill. However, it is still possible that Amanda orchestrated the crime indirectly. The community is abuzz with speculation about whether desperation drove her to extreme action. Detective Harper keeps Amanda on the suspect list but needs more evidence to clarify the truth. The investigation into Jared Mitchell's murder remains open, and police are determined to find the truth. The second prime suspect in the murder of Jared Mitchell is Jenna Parker Breen, Jared's new girlfriend. Jenna Parker Breen, 24, is Jared Mitchell's new girlfriend and a social media influencer. She stands out with her luxurious lifestyle and often shares about fashion, beauty, and dating older men. Their relationship quickly became the center of attention after Jared divorced Amanda to be with Jenna. When questioned, Jenna appeared worried and affirmed that she had no reason to harm Jared. However, the investigation revealed that she had a history of dating wealthy men, and that Jared had a large life insurance policy, which raised suspicions about financial motives. Police also looked into Jenna's activities in the days before the crime. Some friends said she seemed unusually nervous. The investigation into Jared's death becomes more complicated as detectives continue to search for evidence and a motive. The community is waiting for answers to this case. The investigation into the murder of Jared Mitchell is raising suspicions surrounding Jenna Parker Breen. Jenna had expressed a desire to move to a larger city, like Charlotte or Atlanta, making police suspicious of her motives. Despite Jenna's image as a glamorous influencer, many people couldn't believe that she could be involved in a serious crime. Police cannot ignore the possibility of financial gain from Jared's death, despite Jenna's denials. Detective Lisa Harper realizes that concrete evidence is needed to prove Jenna's innocence or guilt. The investigation continues to intensify, with police scrutinizing every aspect of Jenna's life and relationship with Jared to find the truth. The third suspect in the murder investigation is Brian Hart, a close colleague and friend of Amanda Mitchell. At age 35, Brian is a high school chemistry teacher, like Amanda, known for his compassion and unwavering support, especially during Amanda's illness. Brian often assisted her with daily tasks and openly criticized Jared's behavior, making him suspicious of her. Potential criminals in the eyes of investigators. Brian and Amanda developed a close friendship over the years, especially after she was diagnosed with terminal esophageal cancer. He is always a source of spiritual and practical support for her. However, his disdain for Jared and his voice caused the police to question his possible involvement in the murder. When questioned, Brian remained calm and cooperative, saying he was at home grading papers the night Jared died. Detective Harper notes his calm demeanor but decides to dig deeper into his relationships with both Amanda and Jared. As the investigation progressed, it became clear that Jared had previously hired Brian to spy on Amanda and siphon off what little money she had left after her divorce. This revelation paints a different picture of Brian, suggesting that his seemingly supportive nature may hide more complex motives. Further examination of Brian's financial records revealed that he was struggling with debt, which may have given him the opportunity to benefit from Jared's death to ease his own financial burden. Relatives or to support Amanda. As a chemistry teacher, Brian had access to various chemicals, including rat poison, raising concerns about his ability to commit murder. Interviews with Brian's colleagues and neighbors revealed him to be a dedicated teacher and good friend. However, some highlighted frustration over his financial situation, which could lead to drastic action. The community is shocked to learn that someone close to Amanda could be a suspect, making everyone suspicious of Brian's motives. Although Brian appeared calm, the police could not ignore the evidence that he might be involved in the case. Detective Harper realizes that concrete evidence is needed to exonerate or incriminate Brian. On September 15, 2018, just a week after Jared's death, a breakthrough occurred. A local resident discovered a small unlabeled bottle in the bushes near Jenna's apartment complex and reported it to Detective Harper. When sent for analysis, the fingerprints on the bottle matched Amanda Mitchell's fingerprints. This discovery was shocking because it was previously believed that Amanda was too weak to commit the murder. Detective Harper and her team reviewed evidence and surveillance footage, which revealed that Amanda had visited the complex days before Jared's death, raising questions about her role and the possibility that she tried to accuse Jenna. News of these discoveries spread quickly, shocking the community. As the investigation progresses, the relationships and motives surrounding the Jared Mitchell case become increasingly clear, leaving everyone anxiously awaiting further developments. Following the murder of Jared Mitchell, new evidence has brought Amanda Mitchell back as the prime suspect. Detective Lisa Harper, determined to find out the truth, interrogated Amanda again with new evidence. Amanda's attitude changed. She appeared more worried. When questioned about the fingerprints on the rat poison bottle, Amanda admitted to visiting Jenna's apartment complex to question her relationship with Jared. The investigation revealed that Amanda had researched toxins extensively before Jared's death, taking advantage of her knowledge of chemistry to plan the poisoning. Detective Harper begins to build the story that Amanda, motivated by anger and a sense of betrayal, killed Jared and intentionally cast suspicion on Jenna. On September 20th, 2018, after several days of investigation, Detective Harper and her team identified Amanda Mitchell as the prime suspect in the murder of Jared Mitchell. They confirmed Amanda's fingerprints on the rat poison bottle and proved she went to Jenna's apartment a few days before Jared died. Amanda, who was hospitalized in Greensboro with terminal esophageal cancer, was arrested at the hospital. Around 11 a.m., Detective Harper and his team arrived at the hospital with an arrest warrant. Amanda, although weak, did not resist when the police announced the arrest and charges against her. Her family, present at the hospital, appeared very distressed. As the legal process begins, the focus turns to the trial to determine Amanda's guilt or innocence. Amanda Mitchell's trial for the murder of Jared Mitchell began in early October 2018, just weeks after her arrest. The proceedings took place at the Guilford County Courthouse in Greensboro, North Carolina, attracting media attention. The courtroom was packed with reporters eager to cover this high-profile case. The prosecution, led by Assistant District Attorney Hannah Foster, argued that Amanda meticulously planned Jared's murder out of anger and a desire for revenge. Foster presented compelling evidence, including Amanda's fingerprints on a bottle of rat poison and her visits to Jenna Parker Breen's apartment complex. She emphasized Amanda's knowledge of poisons from her time as a chemistry teacher, framing her as the mastermind behind the crime. In contrast, Amanda's defense attorney, Robert Kane Clark, argued that Amanda's terminal illness made her too weak to commit the murder. He suggests that someone else, possibly Jenna or Brian Hart, may be responsible for Jared's death. Clark tried to cast doubt on the prosecution's evidence, but his arguments failed to sway the jury. The trial was an emotional roller coaster for all involved. Jared's family, including his children and close relatives, attended each day, clearly distressed by the proceedings. They have been waiting for justice for Jared and hoping for a verdict that will give them some closure. Tragically, just 3 days before the verdict was announced, Amanda Mitchell passed away in hospital from terminal cancer. Her death marks a sad end to a complex and painful case. Despite her death, the court still decided to proceed with the posthumous judgment. The judge ruled that Amanda was guilty of Jared's murder based on the compelling evidence presented during the trial. The ruling was announced on 12 October 2018 and received widespread coverage from local media. The community was divided in its reactions. Some felt that a posthumous conviction was a necessary step to ensure justice for Jared, while others grappled with the ethical implications of sentencing someone who was already dead. Amanda's death didn't bring the closure many expected, but it did mark the end of a tragic chapter for Jared's family. They can finally begin to move on knowing that the legal system has solved the crime. The case left a lasting impact on the Greensboro community, highlighting the complex nature of justice and the deeply intertwined human emotions in such a heartbreaking story. The aftermath of Jared Mitchell's murder continues to profoundly impact the lives of those involved, even after Amanda Mitchell's arrest and conviction. Jenna Parker Breen, a former suspect, feels her life has changed forever because of the trial. Previously a prominent social media influencer, Jenna now faces harsh scrutiny and judgment from the public, greatly affecting her reputation. After Amanda was convicted, Jenna decided to retire from her influencer career, looking to rebuild her life away from public scrutiny. Wanting a fresh start, she moves to another city to get away from the media attention. Jenna focuses on her personal health, trying to regain a sense of normalcy, but the psychological trauma from the case still haunts her, making recovery difficult. Brian Hart, a key figure in the investigation, was cleared of any wrongdoing after Amanda was convicted, but the experience took its toll on him. Brian's personal and professional life were affected by intense scrutiny during the investigation and trial. As a chemistry teacher, he continues his work but has to live under the shadow of the case. The community has mixed opinions about him. Some consider him a loyal friend, while others doubt his motives for participating in the case. Detective Lisa Harper, who led the investigation, reflected on the challenges she and her team faced. While they were praised for their dedication and commitment to seeking justice, the high-profile nature of the case posed particular difficulties for them. The community recognized their work and frequently interviewed Detective Harper in the media, in which she shared the difficulties of handling such a sensitive and public case. In Greensboro, the case remains a hot topic of discussion, reminding the community of the personal impact of crime and the role of the legal system in finding justice. As the community tries to heal after the tragedy, Jared and Amanda Mitchell's story still resonates, becoming a part of local history. It is remembered not only for its emotional depth, but also for its lessons about the fragility of relationships and the consequences of betrayal. Jared Mitchell's story is a tragedy, incorporating themes of love, betrayal, and revenge, exposing the dark corners of human emotions. It reminds everyone that desperation can lead people to commit unimaginable acts. As the community reflects on the events that have occurred, they realize the importance of understanding the complexity of human behavior and the profound impact of crime. Thank you for joining us on this episode of True Crime Stories. We invite you to follow our next stories, where we continue to explore the complex and often harrowing world of true crime, delving into lives affected by crime and the journey to seek justice.